Not all wars are waged on the battlefield. Some are fought financially. Iran and the US have had a rocky relationship for years, and Washington has, on several occasions, imposed sanctions which have almost crippled Tehran's economy. In an attempt to ease the burden, the Iranian government has decided to raise petrol prices. That's led to some of the deadliest protests the country has seen in years, with security forces accused of targeting demonstrators. The Trump administration has condemned the crackdown. But isn't this what it expected when it imposed sanctions? Adam Pletz reports.
Weeks of demonstrations in Iran, triggered by petrol subsidy cuts, have left hundreds dead in the worst violence since the Islamic Revolution of 1979. Amnesty International says security forces have killed at least 208 people. The Interior Minister says more than 700 banks, 70 gas stations, and 140 government sites were set ablaze. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, has backed the fuel price hike and denounced the protesters.
Some people would definitely be upset by this decision, but damaging and setting fire to property is not something normal people would do. These are hooligans.
He has since said those who did not instigate the protests should receive clemency. But some demonstrators are calling for the removal of the clerical leadership. Government supporters say the protesters are playing into the hands of its foes abroad. The United States believes Iran is hiding the scale of the clampdown.
The fact that Iran is killing perhaps thousands and thousands of people right now as we speak. That's why they cut off the internet. So they cut off the internet so people can't see what's going on. But thousands of people are being killed in Iran right now.
The US strategy is to maintain maximum economic pressure on Iran. It reimposed sanctions on oil exports when it withdrew from the Iran nuclear deal in May 2018. As a result, the International Monetary Fund says the economy will contract by 9% in 2019. The US is condemning Iran's brutal crackdown, but isn't Washington's very aim to turn the Iranian people against their own government? Adam Pletz, The Newsmakers.
Well, we're joined now from New York by former Iranian presidential candidate Hooshang Amirahmadi. He's the head of the American-Iranian Council. Masih Alinejad is in London. She's a journalist and human rights activist. And in Tehran is Iranian affairs analyst Seyed Mostafa Khoshcheshm. Good to have you all on the program. Hooshang Amirahmadi, is all of this a natural consequence of the sanctions? The point of the sanctions was maximum pressure. Are we seeing it playing out now?
I said obviously sanctions have had a major impact on Iran's economy, but even the government itself has said many times the sanctions are only responsible for about 20% of the problem, the Iranian economic problem even. The rest of it comes from mismanagement, from corruption, from a government that is not accountable to the people, from a clerical regime that doesn't understand the modern world, that they still, live in 1400 years ago and are trying to impose an ideology that just simply doesn't work and have made Iran into a pariah. So again, yes, sanctions have impacted, but I believe it is the mismanagement by the clerical regime, and I mean particularly clerics.
I see.
This country is run by 200 clerics,
right,
who should have not been there to begin with.
Okay, we're going to get into the details of the crackdown in a few moments, but Masih, do you broadly agree with Hooshang Amirahmadi that sanctions are a small part of this puzzle?
There is no doubt that sanctions hurt our economy. But let me be clear with you. Our economy in Iran is holding hostage by Revolutionary Guard. And I have to say that the corruption, mismanagement, and the clerics who are actually holding the whole economy hostage, they are hurting people many times more than sanction. There are so many religious institutions like Bunyad Mustazafin. They have hundreds of companies in Iran. And Revolutionary Guard itself has a huge and large part in our economy. So that is why their corruption, their mismanagement hurting. So I want to tell you, actually, in the streets of, across Iran, there were a lot of people chanting against actually the Revolutionary Guard. They were chanting against the clerics. They were chanting against, the government who are sending money to Syria, to Gaza, to Lebanon. There were no single chant against sanction or against the U.S. President.
Okay.
So this does actually give you a clue that the people
That's
itself, they're
Right.
risking to challenge the mismanagement of the clerics.
So let me pose that to Mostafa Khoshcheshm, that yes, sanctions play a part. They might be a contributing factor, but corruption, mismanagement, as the other two guests have said, and Iran being too busy building an empire in Syria and Iraq and elsewhere and spending the money there, that is the real cause of the people taking to the streets. Address that for me, sir.
Well, as a matter of fact, you just referred to your other two guests. As far as I know, I'm going to respond to you, but of course, with regard to the allegations made by those people that are paid, according to the documents, they are paid huge sums by the United States State Department. And this, there are the documents in the contract section of the U.S. State Department.
Let's keep our eye on the ball here. Let's not play the man. Let's keep our eye on the ball and the issue we're discussing here.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars,
Sir,
and I've been sending, and
Mr.
I have.
Mr. Khoshcheshm, people aren't on the streets protesting against them. They're protesting against the government.
Staff showing the.
That's a pity that your guest is actually funded by Fars News
just
Agency,
a second.
and Fars is
Let
a
me get through with
of
what I'm telling you, and then and then she would have enough time to answer. But let's come to you, and
but you
I'm telling
started
you
from
that
accusation.
when,
you have
when
to give
dealing
me
with
time
these
that I am not.
Okay, so let's put everybody's payroll away
to
and
raise
focus on the issue
allegations
here.
against
Mr.
their
Khoshcheshm.
own nation, and. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. It doesn't matter. You would have time to, respond. But when it comes to such allegations, when people are paid to raise such allegations, that's their job. As a matter of fact, they are paid to raise such allegations. And I'm not talking about Mr. Hooshang Amirahmadi. I'm just talking about Masih Alinejad. So I don't care about what they say. Your question, with regard to your question, no, as a matter of fact, this formula of sanctions started under President Obama.
Okay, so let me move it on then, right? Let me move it on. The United Nations.
Yeah, move it. Yeah, I'm telling you.
I'm moving it on because you're shooting the messenger here, so I want to move it on. The United Nations said that it has video evidence
Go ahead.
appearing to show that Iranian security forces are shooting to kill protesters during Iran's latest wave of demonstration. That comes from Michelle Bachelet, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. Is she also on the State Department's payroll, or is there something to look at here?
Hold on a second. These international bodies that you're talking about, it's been proved that they have been on a political agenda against the Islamic Republic. They don't have agents on the field to prove their allegations. This has happened frequently, that somebody they have announced as a casualty, as a dead person killed by the government. After a few days, they have appeared on the state-run TV in Iran, sound and safe and alive. That's why, if you just refer to Amnesty International reports about the number of the deaths, they say 163 are feared death. There is a very legal difference in interpretation of these two wordings. If they are dead or they are feared dead. So they are not sure about, they are not even sure about their own reports.
Okay, what's interesting is that Rouhani spokesman Ali Rabai is taking this more seriously than you are, it seems, because he's saying we will come out with an official death toll. People were killed. This is a problem. Hooshang Amirahmadi, we have Mostafa Khoshcheshm hanging a question mark over everything that has been said preceding him. Tell me what's going on there.
Well, the fact on the ground speaks for itself. The fact is that the government raised, actually tripled the price of, gas. And that affects 6 million Iranians who make a living in the transportation industry, just to begin with. And that these people did protest in the streets against that price rise, as well as other corruption matters, and that they were killed. Now, what number? I have no exact number, but I'm sure the government will come up with some number, but opposition as well. They speak in thousands and in hundreds. Unfortunately, in Iran, numbers are flooding, with no responsibility behind the numbers. So again, the fact on the ground is that a protest happened because of the price rise on gas, that the protesters were killed, and that the guys who killed them were members of Najah, that is the Islamic Republic's, security forces, sort of.
Okay.
But at the same time, this is a field where everybody is involved.
Right.
I mean, they say in the war they don't distribute sweet. So each side tries to do what it best can. Unfortunately, the Iranian political situation is very messy, and
Indeed. And even trying to have even trying to have a conversation about it gets messy. Masih, what do you want to happen now?
It's not about me. It's about people inside Iran. They are fed up with the Islamic Republic. All you hear from the people across Iran, more than 100 cities, they took to the street, they risked their lives. They say, we don't want an Islamic Republic. That is actually why the government used live bullets, killed more than 500 people, arrested 7,000 people. And I want to tell you that your other guest from Tehran is funded by Revolutionary Guard, works for, he's a high-ranking figure of Fars News Agency. And Fars News Agency is a mouthpiece of Revolutionary Guard. And Revolutionary Guard actually is a terrorist organization holding Iran economy hostage. And Revolutionary Guard took my brother hostage to keep me silent. They arrested my brother in front of his 2 small children. Revolutionary Guard shoot people in the head,
and that's why you opened up a lawsuit of $500 million against the Iranian nation.
Exactly. Yes, because not the Iranian nation. I sued the supreme leader of Iran. I sued Revolutionary Guard. I actually make an official complaint about the Iranian judiciary system, which arrested thousands of people and tortured them and killing them. And you are working for News Agency, which actually forcing the journalists, forcing the bloggers, forcing the political activists to do false confession. So that is why I am not going to get... Let me finish. Let me finish.
Pretty well.
What bothers me? Why... Let me finish. Let me finish.
You have enough time
steal inside money from Iran,
the frozen asset of the Iranian nation, $500 million.
Let me finish. $500 million, which I am not going to give that money. Right now, in this TV, I am saying that I'm going this money to let it go. But what I want, the supreme leader of Iran to be responsible. I want the rest of the world to understand that you and the supreme leader of Iran are criminals. What bothers me, you have freedom to come and talk about, Iran and U.S. sanction. Javad Zarif, Masouma Iftikhar, you're allowed to go on TV and giving your own opinion, but the children of Masouma Iftikhar, the foreign minister of Iran, the children of our president are in the U.S. The U.S. that you blame them, but you are sending your children in the U.S. My dream is to be in my own country. You're kicking me out. You're arresting my brother, and now you're telling me that why I'm making complaint about the supreme leader of Iran?
Masih, Mostafa, and Hooshang, we'll continue this conversation soon. I've got to wrap. I thank you for joining us.
No, that entitles you to work for Donald Trump in order to justify
Mustafa, I've got to wrap.
His sanctions against the Iranian nation.
Okay, listen.
This is my dream, but you torture me.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've got to wrap.
Listen,
we're going to drop off air. We'll continue this next time. Thank you for joining us.